The world is not fair. And deep down, you already know it. Tell me, have you ever watched someone dumber than you get the promotion you deserved? Have you ever seen someone weaker than you control the room while you stayed invisible? Have you ever felt the sting of being overlooked, even though you worked harder, played nicer, followed every rule? Type YES in the comments if that's ever happened to you. Don't be shy. I want to see how many of you have lived this truth. Because here's the forbidden knowledge. Life doesn't reward the smartest, or the kindest, or the fairest. It rewards those who understand the dark psychology of power. Right now, while you're watching this, someone with half your skills is living twice your life. Not because they're better, but because they play the hidden game. A game of influence, dominance, and perception. And here's the harshest truth. You've been programmed to lose this game. You were raised to play fair while others rewrote the rules. You were trained to wait for respect while others seized it. You were told to be nice while others were taught to be strategic. The game is rigged, but not in the way you think. It's rigged against those who cling to the illusion of fairness. Niccolo Machiavelli, 500 years ago, ripped this illusion apart. He lived in Renaissance Florence, a city dripping with betrayal, ambition, and blood. He watched men rise from nothing to command armies and kings fall overnight into ruin. His conclusion? Power doesn't belong to the good. Power belongs to the cunning. And he wrote it down in The Prince, a book so raw, so honest about human nature that for centuries people tried to ban it, because it didn't describe the world as it should be. It described the world as it is. That's why today we call knowledge like this dangerous. And now I'm handing it to you. But let me warn you, once you hear these lessons, you cannot unhear them. Once you open your eyes to the psychology of power, you cannot close them again. You will never see your boss, your friends, your relationships the same way. You will notice every manipulation, every power play, every hidden hierarchy you used to miss. And you will face a choice. Ignore it and remain prey, or use it and become a player. So before we dive deeper, make your declaration in the comments. I refuse to be psychologically dominated. That sentence may seem small, but it's your first rebellion against a system designed to keep you weak. Now, let's rip apart the first lie you were taught. Fairness. Fairness is a trap. A story told to keep you compliant. Every time you wait for fair treatment, someone else is cutting the line. Every time you follow imaginary rules, someone else is rewriting them. Every time you expect reciprocity, manipulators are exploiting your predictability. Machiavelli wrote, "Men should either be treated generously or destroyed, because they take revenge for slight injuries. For heavy ones, they cannot." What does this mean? It means that in power games, half measures are suicide. If you respond weakly to disrespect, you look fragile. If you set soft boundaries with predators, they will test you again and again. If you try to reason with the selfish, they'll bleed you dry. Look at history. Julius Caesar didn't wait for fairness when the Senate tried to strip him of power. He crossed the Rubicon with his army, committing treason in the name of survival. That single decisive move made him master of Rome. Or take a modern example. Elon Musk, love him or hate him, doesn't wait for permission. He breaks rules, trolls markets, controls narratives. While thousands of smarter engineers live invisible lives, he dominates global attention. Is that fair? Number. Is it power? Absolutely. Now think about your own life. How many times have you given respect to people who never gave it back? How many times have you played nice, hoping others would notice, only to be ignored? That wasn't fairness failing, that was you falling for the trap. Let me give you a mini scenario. Imagine you're dating, you text first. They take hours to reply. You double text. They reply with one word. Who has the power? Not you. Why? Because you assume fairness, that if you cared, they would too. But the ruthless player knows inattention is dominance. Silence is control. Power flows to whoever can walk away. So here's the first brutal law of Machiavelli's psychology. Stop expecting fairness. Start demanding respect. And I want you to answer this honestly in the comments. Do you believe fairness exists in this world? Or is it just a story told to children? Because your answer reveals everything about how much power you currently hold. Now pause. Mini reset. If you're feeling uneasy right now, that's good. It means the illusion is breaking. It means you're starting to see the world not as you wish it to be, but as it truly is. And here's the question you must face. When someone disrespects you, will you keep hoping for fairness, or will you dominate so completely they never try again? That's the difference between being prey and being predator. And speaking of predators, Machiavelli's next lesson will shock you. Because ruthlessness is not what you think. It's not cruelty. It's not rage. It's something colder, sharper, far more dangerous. Most people think ruthlessness means cruelty. They imagine a ruthless person screaming, humiliating others, crushing everyone in their path. But that's not true. Real ruthlessness is emotional discipline. It's not about losing control. It's about never losing control. Think about the average person. They're an open book. Insult them and they react. Ignore them and they beg for attention. Slight them and they waste days justifying themselves. They're puppets and their strings are easy to pull. But the ruthless strategist, they feel anger, betrayal, humiliation, just like anyone else. The difference? They don't let those emotions dictate their moves. They transform emotion into calculation. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He watched politicians in Florence fall because they couldn't control their impulses. They shouted, they raged, they overreacted. Meanwhile, the cold and calculating survived. He wrote, "Injuries should be inflicted all at once, so that their taste being less keen, they give less offense." Translation: don't waste energy on endless battles. Don't get dragged into drama. Strike once, clean, and decisively, then stop. Let's make it concrete. Imagine you're in a meeting. A colleague mocks your idea in front of everyone. The weak response? You fire back emotionally, and suddenly you look rattled. The strong response? You stay calm, let the silence hang heavy, then deliver one precise counterpoint that makes them look like the fool. The room doesn't just respect your intelligence, it respects your control. That's ruthlessness. Julius Caesar showed it. When allies betrayed him, he didn't panic. He didn't lash out in blind rage. He paused, calculated, and chose decisive action, crossing the Rubicon. That wasn't rage. That was discipline. Now, let's apply this to modern life. Think of Steve Jobs. He wasn't known for being nice. He was known for demanding impossibly high standards. He didn't waste energy explaining himself endlessly. He said no relentlessly. His control, his cold decisiveness, built Apple into an empire. Or think of Elon Musk. Do you see him arguing with critics on Twitter for hours? Number. He drops one sentence, or sometimes just a meme, that shifts the entire conversation. That's not chaos. That's controlled ruthlessness. Mini reset. Ask yourself right now, when was the last time you lost control? Did anger drive you into an argument? Did hurt feelings make you overshare? Did humiliation push you into over-explaining? Drop your answer in the comments if you're honest enough. Because here's the shift. Every time you lose control, you leak power. Every time you stay calm, you gain it. Now let's rip apart another illusion, likability. Since childhood, you've been told to be nice, to be liked, to be agreeable. But Machiavelli shattered that lie centuries ago. He said, "It is much safer to be feared than loved if one must choose." Why? Because likability is fragile. People like you until it's inconvenient. They like you until they find someone else more entertaining. They like you until liking you costs them something. But respect Respect is different. Respect survives inconvenience. Respect survives temptation. Respect survives time. Let me give you an example. Who gets promoted in your workplace? The agreeable, nice guy. Or the one who commands the room, enforces standards, and doesn't tolerate disrespect. Niceness is forgettable. Respect is unforgettable. Look at history. Napoleon Bonaparte. His men loved him, yes, but they also feared disloyalty. That combination made his army unstoppable. Look at politics. Vladimir Putin. Do people like him? Number. Do they respect the cost of disloyalty? Absolutely. That's why he survives decade after decade. Whether you admire or despise him, his grip proves Machiavelli right. Or, look at business. Jeff Bezos. Amazon employees didn't see him as a nice boss. They saw him as a demanding one who built a trillion-dollar company. So let's make this interactive. Comment below, are you hashtag Team Love, better to be liked, or hashtag Team Fear, better to be respected? Let's see which side wins. Because here's the truth. Likeable people are replaceable. Respected people are irreplaceable. Mini scenario. You're in a relationship. You constantly say yes, even when you don't want to. You always compromise. You never enforce boundaries. What happens? At first, they like you for being easygoing, but eventually they lose respect. Desire fades. The relationship dies. Niceness killed it. Respect creates attraction. Fear of loss creates commitment. That's the Machiavellian way. Now let's connect this with action. Most people ruin their authority by issuing empty threats. They say, next time I won't tolerate this. But the next time comes, and they tolerate it again. Power evaporates. Machiavelli's advice? If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. Translation, if you act decisively. Don't half punish. Don't half defend. Don't half commit. One move so strong they never test you again. History gives us examples. Alexander the Great, a general, betrayed him. Alexander didn't argue, didn't warn. He executed him swiftly. Brutal? Yes, but decisive. After that, loyalty was absolute. Modern version, someone at work constantly undermines you. Weak response, nagging, gossip, passive aggression. Strong response, one cold public move that exposes their behavior. Do it once. Do it clean. They'll never test you again, and everyone else will think twice before trying. Mini reset. Write this in the comments. Better to be respected than liked. That's not just a phrase, it's a shift in identity. Because here's the ultimate lesson of part 2. Stop seeking approval. Stop hoping to be liked. Start demanding respect. Start being the one whose approval others seek. And now, prepare yourself. Because the next principle goes even deeper into the shadows. It's the reason leaders rise or fall. It's the reason some people are unforgettable while others fade away. Perception. Perception is stronger than truth, and the one who controls the story controls the world. Here's the brutal truth. Perception beats reality. Every time. You may think the world rewards substance, but in reality, it rewards image. Human beings are lazy. They don't investigate the truth. They judge on appearances, signals, and stories. Unless you control those perceptions, someone else will, and their version of you becomes reality. Machiavelli nailed it. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. That's not cynicism, that's survival psychology. Look at history. In 1960, the world watched the first televised U.S. presidential debate. John F. Kennedy looked calm, handsome, charismatic. Richard Nixon looked sweaty, nervous, and tired. On radio, listeners thought Nixon won. On TV, Kennedy destroyed him. Same debate, different perception, and perception decided the election. Mini reset. Ask yourself, when was the last time perception betrayed you? Did someone less skilled get promoted because they looked more confident? Did someone more attractive get attention you deserved? Drop your story in the comments. Let's expose how often image beats substance. Modern example: social media. Who gets rewarded? The quiet genius or the loud self-promoter? Who gets opportunities? The one with real skill or the one with a carefully curated brand? It's not fair, but it's real. And if you refuse to play this game, you lose by default. Elon Musk understands this. He controls perception like a weapon. One tweet can shake global markets. Half the world loves him, half the world hates him, but no one ignores him. Meanwhile, quieter, smarter CEOs fade into obscurity. Musk thrives because he knows perception creates reality. Here's the Machiavellian principle: narrative control. Every event has multiple possible meanings. A bold move can look like leadership or recklessness. A setback can look like failure or a setup for a comeback. The truth doesn't matter. What matters is who tells the story first and best. Julius Caesar framed his rebellion as saving Rome from corruption. Vladimir Putin frames power grabs as protection. Steve Jobs framed brutal perfectionism as vision. The story wins, even if the facts are ugly. Now think about your own life. When someone disrespected you, did you fight back with your own narrative, or did you let their version define you? Maybe a boss said you're not leadership material. Maybe a partner told others you're too demanding. Maybe a friend painted you as negative. Did you counter with your own frame, or did silence let their story win? If you don't write your story, someone else will, and they'll make themselves the hero and you the fool. Mini scenario: imagine you cut off a toxic friend. They tell everyone you're selfish. If you stay silent, their version sticks. But if you get ahead, I had to set boundaries with someone who disrespected me. Suddenly, you're principled, not selfish. Same action, two stories. Which one survives? The one told with conviction. So here's your challenge. Comment below with one sentence that reframes a weakness of yours into a strength. Example: I'm not cold. I'm disciplined. I'm not controlling. I'm a strategist. Let's flood the comments with narrative power. But controlling narrative is only step one. The truly powerful build systems of consequences. Machiavelli warned, a wise ruler should rely on what is in his own control, not on what is in the control of others. Most people enforce boundaries emotionally. They nag, beg, get angry. The ruthless enforce boundaries with systems. Example: friends who flake on plans. Weak response: complaints, guilt trips, emotional drama. Strong response: a system. I only invest in people who show up reliably. No threats, no drama, just consequences. People adapt or disappear. This is why Jeff Bezos built Amazon not on kindness, but on metrics. Fail, and the system punishes you. Perform, and it rewards you. Bezos didn't argue with employees. The system spoke louder than he ever could. Ask yourself, where in your life are you still relying on emotional begging instead of systems, work, relationships, family? Write in the comments. No more empty threats. I create systems because once you have systems, people don't wonder how to treat you. They know. They don't test you. They adapt to you. And this brings us to the most chilling form of power: silent dominance. The weak brag, the insecure shout, but the truly powerful, their silence is heavier than words. Vladimir Putin terrifies rivals not by shouting, but by pausing. Warren Buffett moves markets not by posting daily, but by speaking rarely. Their silence creates mystery. Mystery creates fear. Fear creates dominance. Machiavelli's fox and lion live here. The fox, silent, cunning, hidden. The lion, loud, decisive, terrifying. The master strategist moves between them without warning. Mini scenario: you're at dinner. One person brags nonstop about their achievements. Another sits quietly observing, speaking only once. But when they do, the whole table listens. Who had more power, the loud one or the silent one who commanded attention? Now I want you to answer in the comments. Is silence stronger than words, or is declaring your strength necessary? Which do you believe? Let's see how divided this community is, because silence, when mastered, becomes unstoppable. And in the next part, we'll take all these principles: fairness as a trap, respect over likability, perception over reality, systems, silence, and show how they fuse into the ultimate Machiavellian weapon: reputation. Your reputation is your crown, and once tarnished, it rarely recovers. Guard it, or lose everything. If you've come this far, you're not just watching, you're transforming. You're starting to see the hidden levers of power. But now, we step into one of Machiavelli's most dangerous lessons. Your reputation is your crown. Lose it, and you lose everything. Machiavelli warned, a prince should guard himself from being despised or hated. Why? Because reputation outlives truth. Actions are forgotten, but the perception of your name lingers like a shadow. Look at history. Winston Churchill. He made brutal decisions, sacrificing ships, letting cities burn, to win the war. The facts were bloody, but his reputation? The bulldog who never gave up. That reputation won him loyalty and respect that facts alone could never explain. Or look at modern times. Donald Trump. Agree or disagree with his politics, his reputation as the fighter sticks. Every scandal, every failure, every attack, his brand survives because he cultivated a reputation that outweighs facts. To supporters, he's unbreakable. To enemies, unforgettable. That's Machiavelli at work. Mini reset. Think about your own life. When people say your name, what comes to mind? Respect? Weakness? Forgettability? Drop one word in the comments that you think sums up your current reputation. Be honest, because awareness is the first step to control. Here's the brutal truth. Weak people think defending their reputation means explaining themselves. They argue. They justify. They try to change minds with words. But Machiavelli knew reputation is not protected by explanations. It is protected by decisive action. Imagine this. A manager threatens to fire underperformers, but never follows through. Do employees respect them? Number. Their reputation is empty. Now imagine another manager. They almost never threaten, but once, decisively, they fire someone who violated loyalty. Instantly, their reputation becomes solid. People know they don't bluff. Reputation is not built on noise. It is built on one decisive act at the right moment. This is why Machiavelli said, if an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. In modern terms, if you must act so decisively that no one dares to test you again. Take Alexander the Great. A general betrayed him. Alexander didn't scold. He didn't lecture. He executed. Brutal, yes, but that single act cemented absolute loyalty. That's how reputation is forged. Not in constant threats, but in unforgettable actions. Now let's bring it down to everyday life. You're in a relationship. Your partner crosses a boundary. Weak response. Endless arguments. Emotional pleas. Repeated chances. Strong response. One decisive action. Withdraw attention, withdraw privilege, or even walk away. That silence and action build more respect than 100 lectures ever could. Mini challenge. Comment this. No more empty threats. Only decisive action. Write it so your mind begins to believe it. Now let's talk about silence, because silence isn't just golden, it's lethal. Weak people fill silence with chatter, over-explaining, nervous laughter. Strong people weaponize silence. They let it hang heavy until others break, revealing insecurities, overcompensating, exposing themselves. Silence is a mirror, and most people can't stand their own reflection. Think about Vladimir Putin. He doesn't rant. He pauses. He stares. His silence is heavier than words. Or Warren Buffett. He rarely speaks in public, but when he does, markets tremble. Their silence creates mystery. Mystery breeds fear. Fear cements dominance. Mini scenario. You're at dinner. One man brags loudly about his success. Another sits calmly, observing, saying almost nothing. Yet when he finally speaks, everyone listens. Who had more power? Not the loud one, the silent one. So here's your next challenge. For the next 24 hours, practice strategic silence. When tempted to over-explain, don't. When someone tries to provoke you, pause. Let silence work for you. Then comment tomorrow if it changed the way people reacted. Because silence combined with decisive action creates an aura that cannot be faked. And this brings us back to Machiavelli's Fox and Lion. The fox, cunning, silent, seeing traps. The lion, decisive, feared, undeniable. The master strategist shifts between them without warning. But here's the real secret. It's not about one grand move. It's about small, consistent choices that compound. Every time you hold silence instead of reacting, you grow your aura. Every time you enforce consequences instead of giving another chance, you grow your respect. Every time you choose reputation over comfort, you grow your power. And eventually, people stop testing you. They stop gossiping about you. They start whispering your name with caution. That's when you know you've crossed over from being just another person to being someone whose presence defines the room. So let me ask you, do you want to be the loud one begging for attention or the silent one everyone respects? Comment below, loud or silent. Let's see where this community stands, because in the next and final part, we will converge all these lessons: fairness, respect, perception, silence, decisive action, into the ultimate transformation. The final choice: remain a pawn in someone else's game or rise as the Machiavellian player who writes the rules. This is it. Everything we've uncovered: fairness as a trap, ruthlessness as discipline, respect over likability, perception over truth, decisive action, systems of consequences, silence as power, reputation as your crown. It all converges into the ultimate decision. Will you remain a pawn or will you rise as a player? Machiavelli didn't write The Prince for dreamers. He wrote it for survivors. He wasn't describing the world as it should be. He was exposing the world as it is. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. The truth is brutal. Right now, while you hesitate, someone else is shaping perception, building reputation, seizing dominance. Someone less skilled, less intelligent, less kind than you is taking the life you wanted because they play the game you refuse to. Mini reset. Ask yourself honestly, how many opportunities have you lost because you played fair? Because you waited for recognition? Because you were afraid of being called selfish or arrogant? Comment your answer below. The first step to power is admitting where you've surrendered it. Look at history. Napoleon Bonaparte. He didn't wait for permission. He crowned himself emperor in front of the Pope. A shocking move, a Machiavellian move, sending one message: I don't need validation. I seize power myself, and the world remembers him for it. Or look at modern giants. Elon Musk. His companies rise and fall in stock value. Scandals swirl. Critics scream. But none of it matters. Why? Because he controls the narrative. He acts decisively. He refuses to be ignored. That's why he dominates headlines while quieter geniuses fade away. The difference between winners and losers isn't morality. It's psychology. Winners master it. Losers deny it. And here's the secret Machiavelli wanted you to know. You don't have to be the smartest, the strongest, or even the most talented. You just have to master the psychology of power. Think of your daily life. At work, two people deliver the same results. One documents it, frames it, makes sure their boss knows. The other assumes hard work speaks for itself. Who gets promoted? Always the one who controls perception. In relationships, two partners give affection. One sets boundaries, commands respect, and remains mysterious. The other gives endlessly, demands nothing, hopes to be loved. Who gets taken for granted? Who gets desired? You already know. This is why Machiavelli was hated by idealists, but worshipped by realists. Because he stripped away illusions and forced us to face the uncomfortable truth. Power isn't evil. Power is survival. Now let me give you your final comment challenge. Write this. I refuse to be dominated. I choose power. Pin it in your own mind, because once you declare it, you step onto a different path. But don't stop there. Share this video with someone who's too nice for their own good, someone who keeps waiting for fairness, someone who's getting crushed because they don't see the hidden game. Because the more you spread this knowledge, the stronger you make your own circle. And let's push further. Debate with me. Do you agree with Machiavelli that it's safer to be feared than loved? Or do you think love has more power in the long run? Drop hashtag Team Fear or hashtag Team Love in the comments. Let's see where this community truly stands. Mini scenario. Imagine tomorrow morning you wake up and decide to live Machiavellian for just one day. You say no without guilt. You hold silence instead of explaining. You enforce one boundary decisively. You reframe one weakness into strength. How different would your day look? How differently would people treat you? Try it, and then come back and tell me in the comments. Because here's the ultimate secret. Power isn't gained in one grand gesture. It's built in small, ruthless choices, stacked daily until people stop testing you and start respecting you. Your enemies won't announce themselves. They'll smile, they'll flatter, they'll wait. But when they strike, they won't show mercy. Why should you? Machiavelli's world was filled with daggers in the dark. Yours is filled with gossip, politics, betrayals, and silent tests. Different weapons, same war. And only the cunning survive. So here's your final warning. If you keep living as you have, hoping, waiting, being fair, you will stay invisible. You will remain the pawn. But if you embrace what you've learned here, if you seize control of perception, wield silence, act decisively, build systems, demand respect, then something extraordinary happens. You stop being a piece in someone else's game. You become the player who writes the rules. This channel, Ruthless Psychology, is for those who dare to play. If you're ready to join this circle, subscribe now. Because here, we don't talk about illusions. We tear them apart. We don't beg for respect. We demand it. We don't play fair. We play to win. Machiavelli said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves." One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. That is your path. Be cunning, be feared, be silent when others brag, be decisive when others hesitate. And above all, stop waiting for fairness, stop apologizing for power, start playing to win.